Well, I mean, we went from fastball slider pitcher. Now let's go fastball curveball pitcher. Quinn Priester. The curveball's excellent. He's got the slider and the changeup too, but those are more secondary pitches. The fastball, like it looks good, but then like it doesn't generate swings and misses. So I guess kind of why is that? Why is that fastball like? Why can't he get people out with it? And then also like how good is the curveball?
Yeah, so great question. So this is definitely another one of those things that even just during my tenure as like a full-time baseball writer, I've had to make this adjustment where what are the things that help fastballs play or don't play? The approach angle of the fastball to the plate is one, where flat movement, or rather flat angle, like your big time drop and drive guys. Think about like Yu Darvish's delivery in your head. Think about Tim Lincecum's delivery in your head. Guys who are getting really low to the ground, the baseball is traveling to the catcher at like a flatter angle than your tall pitchers who it's coming more downhill. And this is one of those old scouting things that turned out to not be right. Like the downhill plane guys, unless it's extreme downhill plane, it's not actually not good. There are things, about fastball movement too that are hurting Priester. Think about Clayton Kershaw's arm slot. Think about Colin Poche's arm slot. These guys who have that north-south arm slot, they're creating backspin on the ball, and especially when you have a flat angle paired with that backspin, that is the fastball that's going to miss a ton of bats in the zone. That's the one that's riding vertically, and hitters are swinging underneath it a lot of the time. Priester, and it seems like, and I've got high speed of this of his fastball from the fall league and from the futures game and stuff. Priester like pronates around his fastball like this a lot, almost like Devin Williams throwing his changeup. And so it creates like, sometimes he's doing it, sometimes he's not. So he does have like a four-seam fastball type, and then he has like a sinker type that he's pronating around. And that's where he tends to miss bats, is when he pronates and that fastball has that like sink and tail down into his arm side. He's sneaking under the barrels of right-handed hitters down there, and that works nice. But in other parts of the zone, his fastball is downhill, and it doesn't really have bat missing action. It is pretty vulnerable in there. And so, when he was really throwing hard, made it, I thought, okay. And then, during the fall league, he was more in that 92 to 94 range, which is fringe average velocity. And it's a round down onto the fastball quality because of what's happening with its angle and its shape. So, the fact that he's got movement, he can vary the shape of it a little bit. He's got that sinker version. He's got his four-seam version. He's got kind of a cutter thing that gives him, he's made adjustments. His repertoire has grown since this guy was just like, look at his body and look at his curveball, and he's throwing in the mid-90s in high school. He's really developed. And I think the fact that he's made adjustments like that is a really encouraging sign and predictor for his future. His curveball's insane. Even though, the guys who have that Tim Lincecum fastball are the ones whose curveball plays nice off that fastball because of the eye line of the hitter. Like, I'm riding the fastball past you at the letters, and no, it's a curveball. It's, it's finishing below the zone. So you have guys like Matthew Liberatore in the Cardinal system who have like sinker curveball, and like Aaron Sanchez, who used to be in the Blue Jays system, was sort of like Priester in this way too, where it was like sinker curveball, and those two don't fit so great together. But Priester's curveball is so nasty that it still really plays. Like, looking at data sourced from a scout friend of mine from the season, Priester threw his curveball only 16% of the time, right? Like, it's that type of weapon. It's, some of this is maybe developmentally oriented, but 16% of the time for a curveball is probably a lot in today's game. Is more slider oriented. Only 2,500 RPMs on the curveball, so that's about average, but 53% whiff rate and a 44% chase rate. Those are both like monster numbers. If I'm pulling up my Z lookup for the average big league curveball, again, so Priester's was, hold on, now I lost it. It was like, close to 50% chase and whiff. The average big league curveball is 29% whiff 27% chase. So, visually, it's a ridiculous pitch. You see the arc of the movement and the depth and the power that it has. And then on paper, even though it doesn't necessarily play so great with his fastball, it's still totally dominant. And so, yeah, I think these, there might be some rocky nature. Like fastball is probably going to be pretty vulnerable. He's going to have to sharpen the command. But yeah, I still think the components are here for this guy to be a mid-rotation piece, the type of guy who, is making a playoff team's rotation.
Well, that's good to hear.
I'm just going to shut up because I got stuck on the drop and drivers tall and fall debate that he started on, and I'll just shut up now.
One of those things I had to almost unlearn. That
the Pirates were a tall and fall team for a long time. Jamison Tyon, Garrett Cole, both of them had to relearn basically everything, and Driveline just essentially not Driveline alone, but pretty much everyone just overrode all that.
You all, thank you for watching. I know we try to provide the most entertaining content that we can, and we'd love to spread it to as many people as possible. So I know it doesn't seem like a lot, but if you could take the 5 seconds to like this video and subscribe to the page, it helps out so much more than you know. Thank you, and let's go Bucks.